Good evening, everyone. Hello, happy Sabbath. We're ending the day. But I just want to, before we start, just kind of give you a premise on tonight. We have a lot of talented people in our church. We have a lot of youth and even young adults and even people in different ages and stages of their life. But we're going to talk about how do you use those talents and what are some things you can do. My name is Tim, if you don't know. I'm the young adult director here at Grace Temple, and this is one of our goals of taking people in our youth and inspire them to use their gifts for God. And I have a scripture that just kind of helped me to summarize what tonight is all about. It is found in Philippians chapter 1, verse 6. I'm reading from the NIV. Being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Jesus Christ. God has put good works in us, and he wants to complete it within us. We have an amazing panel tonight, and I want to invite them to the stage, to take the stage, and I want them to just they will be able to answer questions from the audience. I have prepared some questions for them as well. But if you have anything you want to say, just raise your hand, and we will have someone to give you a mic so you can be able to answer the question. A few guidelines in relation to that. We have limited time, so when you have a question, try to make it at least one thought, and try not to have the question go on for more than a minute or two. And for our panelists, they'll be able to respond, and we'll be able to move on to the next question. But yes, I will start this with prayer, and we will go from there. Dear Father, we thank you for being able to be here, and we thank you for your presence. We invite you to come into this conversation and into this moment tonight. We pray this all in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. May our panelists come to the stage. So, I want to start the first question to be a slight icebreaker. I want everyone to give me your name, what you do, and if you were stuck on a desert island, what food would you bring with you? I know. You're probably going to eat it for a while, so be mindful of what you say. Who wants to start?
I got it.
Okay.
So, Theo Bray, actor, minister, film director. If I was stuck on a desert island, pickles.
Pickles.
Sorry.
Pickles. Interesting. Pickles.
My name is Freddie Davis III. I'm an artist, entrepreneur, business owner, mentor, child of God. And if I had something like you said, a food.
Yeah, one food, take on a desert island.
It's not multiple, it's just one.
And there's one food, you're stuck with it.
Just one? So if I eat
and if you never get off the island, that's where you're going to die with, too.
If I eat it, do I get it again? Or is it just like...
Somehow it's reappearing every day.
Okay.
Mercies are new every day. So are the pickles.
It's like manna from heaven, right?
Manna from heaven.
All right, cool. In that case, I would say coconut.
Coconut.
I don't like coconut, but because if I get a coconut every day, I could build a boat or something with it and get off the island.
Get off the island. See, you think about the escape. Okay, I like that.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angel. I am a strength and conditioning coach, model, and actress. If I had to pick one food, what comes to mind is jumbo shrimp. Jumbo because you can get, this is my coach coming out, like 21 grams of protein eating 5. So you would stay pretty full for a while.
I hear you. Oh, okay.
My name's Matthew Simmons. I'm an actor, filmmaker, and on an island I would take edamame because it's high in protein. It's really good.
Edamame.
It's good. Yeah, edamame. Yeah, you can do that. And maybe you can make the shell that comes in, maybe you can make something out of it, because it's really firm. Yeah,
so apparently Freddie's the only one getting off the island so far.
Hey everybody, my name is Ashley. I'm an actress, speaker, as well as an author. If I were stranded on an island, I would take chicken, actually live chicken, so I could have eggs as well as an endless supply if it wasn't falling from
Wow.
heaven. So there we go.
Wow. And think about that.
I am Vanessa Chapman, and I work with the youth. I do drama, and I was doing drama a long time ago, but I have not yet. I've written scripts and plays, but some of them I have not done yet. But also, if I was on a stranded island, I would be an orange. I thought it has the vitamin C, so if it's hot like it is now, you would get that, and then it's, juicy, and it's fun.
Wow. Yes, that's good.
Okay, and I didn't say mine, but
Go ahead.
I'm Reggie Sharper, and mine will not be practical. I would get Talenti salted caramel gelato. That's my favorite, so it ain't going to save me, but it's going to taste good.
Guess the die happy kind of situation. Gotcha. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I'm glad everyone picked their different foods. They're interesting picks, but hey, that's your food, your island. Just to know that if you touch the bottom of the mics, it makes have a little feedback. So keep your hands up here. But yeah, for the first question, I'm gonna ask the question, and anyone can answer, and you guys can just go from there. How did you get started? How did each of you get started in your craft?
Not everyone at once, please.
All right, Matthew, you go first.
Well, it found me, so I didn't go to school for acting, filmmaking. I went to seminary, and it was one of those deals where I spent my 20s doing jobs because you had to work, but I didn't like any of it, and none of it was related to what I went to school for, which is kind of usually typical how it goes. So I would just, over the course of meeting people and over the course of 2020, I met the right people, and I started to do it, and one thing led to another, and so now I'm doing all the the coach and the agent and doing all those things. But it found me, and I just wanted God to use my gift however He saw fit, and acting was His answer to that. And so I just said, God, I just want you to use my giftings because I always did have this desire to be on stage and to say things and to speak or to whatever, and nothing ever really kind of came of it. And so I just said, God, but everyone would always tell me, I see you doing this, and I kind of can get smart sometimes, a little too much for my own good, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, you see it, but you're not allowing me to do it. Okay, so that's how we're gonna do this. So I like, God, please, either have these people stop telling me this or find a way for me to actually do something, because I was just tired of. I was kind of like on the sideline waiting to get back on track. Pastor Belcher talked about that this morning. And I was trying to get back on track, and no one was really allowing me on the track the way I wanted to run. And so God just like, well, let me take care of that. And so that's how it started. In 2020 of all years is when it was birthed. So, I just let God answer that prayer, and that's how He answered it. Here we are.
Okay. And if we have these moments where no one answers, I'm going to just play like a teacher and then volunteer. And it's fun. I enjoy that so much. So, Fred, you want to go? Okay, Mike. You can have mine.
I'll go, man. Go ahead.
Okay, let's go. Switch. Okay.
So I got started based off of the need for positive music. I remember growing up, I used to listen to like Lil Wayne, Eminem, Young Jeezy. Like I was like big in that, and then I came in contact with Jesus, and I'm like, so like
Jesus or Jeezy?
You said what?
I said
Jesus or
Jesus or
Jeezy,
Jeezy.
right? So I came in contact with Jesus like when I was in college, and it was a struggle because there was things that weren't beneficial for me anymore. And so I said, well, how can I start to help the youth that are going through like listening to this negativity and stuff like that? So that's when I started to like make music about positivity, my faith, my experiences to help them navigate through some dark times. So that's how I started that. how I started to do like videography is because I saw the need for people to hold the camera to record artists that are performing, because as an artist, you know, we need content. And so that's where I saw that, and I've been doing that for like 4 years now. And so that's where it all started, just as need. You know what I'm saying? As a believer, you see a need and you want to meet that need. That's how I became a mentor, because there was somebody in the church that was going through tough times. There wasn't a father figure in their life, and they were bullying their siblings. And my mom was like, I just need somebody to talk to him. Wow. And so I just started mentoring him. There wasn't any structure. It was just a need. And that's what I think believers are. Like, we step in because we see a need for something.
See a need.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So before you get to Dio, so Freddie, it was kind of more like a calling, if anything.
A calling, yeah.
He was like, I see a need, I feel called to kind of serve in this need.
Facts.
Gotcha.
Facts.
Gotcha.
Facts.
And Dio, Gary.
I guess so. I'd answer that question by saying how I came to it, and then kind of like my reunion.
You answered
if
what
that
you
makes
do
sense.
it, man.
So
Answer your
I
way.
was a troubled youth growing up. I went to Dunbar High School.
Dunbar
For
High
those of you
School.
guys that know where that
Woo-hoo.
is. And you know, the drama department was something that I wouldn't say it saved my life. It didn't. We know Jesus did that, but it was something that was the first thing in my life that actually taught me discipline. I didn't learn the discipline in sports. I learned it through the realm of acting, and so had some opportunities fresh out of high school to do you know, what people would call a dream, but I was a new believer at the time, and you know, for whatever reason, God just had me to step away from it for a season. My parents and a lot of my family members thought I was crazy. They was like, what are you doing, stepping away from this? This is a gift that God is giving you. And I'll never forget, I told my mom one day, I said, if God wants me ever to do this again, he'll open up the door for me to do it again. And so you fast forward, 15 years later, here I was kind of speaking to what Freddie was saying. You know, I was looking at a lot of the negativity that I saw on TV, film, some of the content that just, I was like, where's the God-honoring content? And I was one of those Christians that was just mumbling, grumbling, murmuring, complaining. And I'll never forget that there was this one day I was sitting watching a movie with my wife, and it was the second time in my life I heard the audible voice of God, and I heard the Lord clearly say to me, what are you going to do about it? And it was from there that kind of my reunion to the arts started. But, you know, throughout that time that I was away from it, it wasn't that God never wanted to bring me back to it. It was the fact that he was building my character so that by the time I came back to it, I would know why.
Yeah, for me, it kind of started watching the credits on movies, because movies were my favorite thing to watch as a kid. I would watch Star Wars, I would watch Wizard of Oz, I would look at Technicolor and All Rights Reserved and the director names and the writers' names, and I just like hearing about production. And so growing up, I used to play around with those old yellow Kodak disposable cameras, and I would collect all the film rolls that you would get for your cameras. Even if you didn't develop them, they were just neat to me to hold in my hand. And when I got a little older in my 20s, I asked the main photographer of another church, I said, so how do I get started in photography? And she's like, use your phone first. So I just used my phone for like over a year. And then all of a sudden, I came into possession of a camera, a DSLR, and I just started shooting. And first, I was like, I don't got no models to shoot, so let me try Matthew. And Matthew took what I started shooting with him, and that translated into him getting into television. So, you know, that's just God working out stuff. So just shout out to Jesus.
Yeah. Shout out to Jesus.
That's awesome. That's good. So for me, in all three areas, none of it was planned, at least not by me. I know better now. I know God has orchestrated this entire thing all along, but none of it was planned by me. I did write a lot when I was growing up. I wrote poetry. I wrote a lot of stuff in school. But when it comes to public speaking, I was that kid who couldn't even stand up and read in front of the or speak in front of the class without feeling like I was gonna pass out. I mean, I would start getting hot flashes. I hated to read out loud. Couldn't do any of that. Fast forward, went to college. I went to college just because my parents wanted me to go. It wasn't something that I wanted to do. Because of that, I changed my major at least 5 times. Went to my advisor halfway through school and said, look, put me with whatever will help me still graduate on time. My goal was to finish in 4 years. And they looked at the classes I had taken based off of all of those basics. They said, well, we can give you a communications degree. I almost fainted right there in that office. I said communications as in giving up and giving speeches, talking to people. Yeah, I can't do that. And he told me at the time, Ashley, you only have 2 years left. It's a broad degree. You can go and get any job with it. All you have to do is get through the next 2 years, take what is a challenge for you and improve upon it and make it a strength and make that your goal over the next 2 years. And I thank God that my advisor said that at that time. I ended up graduating college with a communications degree. And I went about my life. I had a few marketing, I don't know if that's me or someone else, marketing positions. I dabbled in a lot of different things. I ended up giving different speeches and sharing my testimony in different situations. Try to make this long story as short as possible, but just before my senior year of college, I actually lost my mother to suicide. And that's actually when I came to know Christ. I needed someone or something to lean on to help me get through that grief process. And so, throughout those years after, I started sharing my testimony in different churches, different conferences, things like that, started speaking. So that's kind of how the speaking route had gone. With acting, I was working for this company. We were at an event, and I had a coworker approach me, ask if I had ever thought about acting before. No, never in my life. I wasn't the kid that grew up in school doing drama. Again, I hated being in front of people. I hated being in front of a camera. And he had been acting for the past 20 years, and he invited me to his acting class. Went there, fell in love with it. It's all gone from there. When it comes to writing, I had left that behind as a kid, but as I continued to share my testimony and story, I kept on hearing in the back of my head, my mom, she was always so proud of me and the stuff that I would write, and she always told me that I was going to write a book one day. And I think about how things happened in life and how God just orchestrated everything, and one of the things that I was passionate about in my grief healing process was helping other people. We all lose someone in life, unfortunately, and grief is never easy. When you lose someone to suicide, there's a whole different level of just the questions that you ask and the emotions you go through. And something that I wanted to do was create a resource to help other people navigating through that so they didn't feel like they were alone. So the book that I wrote last year and released, it is specifically a grief book when you lose someone to suicide. And so I know I said a lot there, and I went down 3 different paths, but I say all that to say, oftentimes, when we're going through something, we're in the middle of something, we have no idea, one, why it's happening, and which direction God's going to take us with it. And it's only once we look back 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line that we can see how every single link in that chain is connected. Had I not gotten a communications major to make me more confident in speaking or, this, that, whatever, they put me in front of the camera as a news anchor at school, would I have even felt comfortable in front of a camera acting? Would I have even felt comfortable getting on stage and sharing my testimony? Would I have been so passionate about sharing that same testimony in a book? Probably not. At this point, I'm rambling, but yeah, that's the answer to your question.
But thank you for sharing. But that's true. I think even in church today, we were talking about getting back on track. Because we're talking about the story of Jonah, how he was in a boat and he was in a fish and he got to go all these different places. But in reality, our lives sometimes take those courses. And I do think as we are going through life, kind of using Matthew as a subject, you may have different guidance saying, hey, you should go this direction. You have this talent, you have this skill, and then you may not happen that day. It may come in a certain time in your life when you're actually ready to take that stage. But yeah, that's very powerful. Thank you for sharing. Who else want to share their starting? Anyone? Go ahead.
Mine started, we was young children in the front room, me and my brother and my, I almost said my grandmother, but me and my brother and my aunt, we would play, sing songs, and we would act, and I was always, had seemed to be the leader. And it moved on from there. When I went to school, I took drama. And when I went to, Tarrant County, I took acting. Then when I went to Texas Wesleyan, I took acting. But it was already in me before I went there, because I was already doing plays before I went to TCC. And it's always been a passion of mine. For some reason, I always want to be the producer. I don't want to be the actor. And when we were doing monologues, it seemed like I would get, but when it's time to teach somebody else or critique them or show them, I was better at being the producer side of it. And when people would write plays, they'll send it to me and ask me to come put it on for them, their play, or even mine. Come put their play on, meaning produce it, get them together, make, A, B, C, D, and do that. So I don't know if I was better making it happen, telling people what to do, how to do it, or whatever. But then also, acting is so good, and I would try to teach people, bring that side of you out that wants to come out, but you're afraid to let it out. In acting, that's the best place you could really let something out that's been on your heart, and you can do it, and you can get up and you can look at the people in the audience. They have either tears or they have laughter, whatever that scene called for. And so to me, that's the best place to just release, and then, go from there.
I agree, Vanessa. I agree. I've been in some of her plays. I agree.
That's a must.
So I was involved with sports and performance arts all my life. If I wasn't playing sports, I was doing a play, and vice versa. My upbringing was pretty toxic. My father was an alcoholic, and I had the typical evil stepmom, is a nice way to put it. So my father wasn't really there for me and my sisters emotionally. And I just realized that sports and performing was a great outlet for me. I loved that when I played sports, I could be present. My mind didn't wander. And same thing with performing. It allowed me to tap into my creative side. So as I got into college, of course, I majored in kinesiology, and I knew I always wanted a career in sports. And but for me, it's like, okay, what's the bigger why? It's not just, oh, I love this sport, I just love lifting weights. No, what is the why? And I was very lost when I moved to Texas for my internship, because I wanted to do both. I said, God, I want to be able to perform and be able to coach athletes, and I don't know how to do that. So, like you were saying, he always shows up when he knows you're ready, and he's prepared your character. And so I moved to Texas because I was accepted to my dream internship, and I kind of just built my life from the ground up. I moved here in 2016, straight out of college. I had no car, broke college student. And so it was either go home or stay here and push for what I want, what my dreams are. And I'm a very symbolic person, so when I was little, I used to doodle stars, not the ones you cross over, the like 5-pointed one, and I was terrible at it. But for some reason, I always did that in my journal. And when I moved here, I had realized my career was in, if you guys are familiar with Frisco, it's in the star. Our symbol at my job is a star. The agency I got signed with is a star. So I'm a very deep thinker when I look at things like that. And when I got signed with my agency last year, Icon Studios, I was rejected from other agencies like past the years previous to that, and I just couldn't get in. And, God knew when was the right time. And if I look back and I was in an agency, the one I'm not in now, I wouldn't have been ready for it, because it puts you in a different light. And I have so much on my plate now, and I see that as blessings, but I don't think where my character was, I could have handled that. And recently, I discovered, I don't want to say I became interested in spoken poetry. I think it's always been in me, but I discovered it in a very crazy way. I was just writing a Instagram caption for a video, a fitness video I made. And I took a step back, and I was like, well, one, this rhymes. Didn't mean to do that. And it had a very empowering message to it. And my friend told me, he's like, well, if it's really a gift from God, do it again. And I kept doing it, and it kept coming naturally, just flowing. And so I took that as part of my creative and my performance side, because I think spoken poetry is amazing. It's just so unique, and you can talk about anything. So I wanted to turn my pain from growing up and from my sister. So that was really sensitive when Ashley said her mom passed away from suicide. My sister almost overdosed and died from an opioid addiction. And so she's been in and out of rehab and relapse. And so I didn't just want to use my story. It's kind of like writing music. You want to use multiple stories to bring awareness, to inspire, and to empower other people. So that's how I want to tie those two in together, is with performing and strength and conditioning. I'm like, it's really not two separate worlds, because somehow they have been able to overlap. For example, I could do events promoting MMA attire, and then I can recruit a athlete to come train with us. So it's just crazy how God works, and it's always better and more than we ever expect.
Thank you. At this time, would anyone from the audience like to ask any questions before we move forward? All right. We got one question. Could we give Ms. Jamise a mic?
Okay, my question is regarding if there are any Adventist members on the panel. I don't know where it is.
Me.
If there's any Adventist members on the panel, because my kids sometimes struggle with keeping the Sabbath and making sure that they're just keeping in line with that in their extracurricular activities. Like my son, he basically gave up sports after senior year because it was conflicting, and he just was struggling with it a lot.
So can you?
Reggie or Vanessa, could you? Reggie or Vanessa, yeah.
I know you're really gearing that question to them, right? Or because you know I'm an Adventist, and you know. Okay. I didn't. Okay. Is there any Adventists on the panel? That would be me. I am an Adventist, and I believe that takes prayer. Anything you want to do, whether it's sports, that's going to get in the way and conflict with your Sabbath, it takes a lot of prayer, especially when you're young, to make that decision and say, I want to follow the Lord. But there are Christian plays. I believe it's a lot of Christian, most of them is Christian writers up here. I don't know if they rehearse on the Sabbath, but I do it after. So even if that's your goal and your desire, God makes a way for you to follow your dreams. Everything is not cut off. It look like sometimes we act like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that because church. No, sometimes we come put that on God, but that's not where it is. Because there's 12, you can, any time of the day, you just got to know, I hope I'm answering that right. I'm trying to make sure I stay right there on the borderline. However, if that's her goal and her dream, she need to get with somebody who maybe honors the Sabbath, because it's a lot of actors, it's a lot of playwrights, it's a lot of that, and they do things after the sunset. if that's okay.
Yeah, from my perspective, I see doing something good on the Sabbath as far as like your convictions. That's how you navigate that situation. At least for me, like if it's something that is, I feel like is convicting me of something I'm against, I'm not gonna be a part of it. But if it's something that I feel like God's leading me to fulfill something that needs to happen, then I will go ahead and do it.
It's a little bit extra with me with that. Only because in acting, you're giving out. And at some point, you have to get back, you have to receive something back. That's just like, to me, working around the church. And I never will forget, myself and Lois Brookins, we would work around the church, and we'd do so much work. And we was making sure everybody's in place, but we was always outside of the sanctuary doing things, because then our spirit man began to get low. And so some kind of way you have to get in a place where there is, you can receive that from God, what he has for you, to get that energy and get that back so you can be able to give out again. That's the difference with me. I apologize.
Good. All right, is there any more questions from the audience? If not, we'll carry on. All right, so next question. Oh, we have seen one? Oh, yeah, all right. Brother Shaw.
This is to the young lady in the black blouse, the one that gave the long explanation. I would like for you to give us an example of one of your poems, but don't make it as long as your answer, but give us an example of one of your poems. The lady to the left, no, on the left with the black blouse on. Yeah, you.
Oh, sweetie, most of my poems are from my childhood. I apologize. I definitely would if I could remember them. But yeah, I started writing, mostly doing poetry when I was a kid, and that's actually something, poetry specifically, I haven't circled back to recently. If I had one, I definitely would. But I appreciate you asking.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Shaw. And Jamise, did we answer your question? Good? Okay, good. All right, want to check back. Anyone else have a question before we go move on? All right, next segment. All right, so for this question, what are some of the pieces of advice you wish someone would have given you, like, early on? Now, some of you are still early on in your career, but still, is it something that you wish someone would have told you earlier, that you've discovered more recently? Like, oh, wow, I wish I knew that in the beginning.
Well, for me, early on, I wish people would tell me to keep doing your dream, even if you don't always have all the support to do it. Just keep pushing, because as you push, you get better. As you get better, you increase the quality of your output. As you increase the quality of your output, more people will have come to appreciate the quality of your work, and you just keep going until one day you say, I'm thankful for the Oscar for Best Director or Writer or whatever it is. But you just keep on going. You don't go for the award, you go for the work.
For me, it would be have grace with yourself to start something new, especially if you start as a young adult and you don't start as a kid, because it's very humbling to see yourself on camera the first couple of acting gigs that you get when you know it's terrible and cringeworthy. Exactly. And yeah, we've been there. But you can't jump from having zero experience to being phenomenal. And unfortunately with acting, everything you do, it's out there. You know, it is on tape. It's out there in front of the world. You can practice behind the scenes, but give yourself grace in that.
Mine would be that I actually recently learned this past year is, for example, if there's a job you hate that you're currently at, or just where you are in life, I wish I could have told myself, it doesn't matter. This is not your destination. You either are being exposed to people you need to meet, whether that is good or bad people, because it's going to shift your character, or you're attaining a certain skill set that you're going to need for your actual career. Because when I got out of college and I had my first coaching job, it didn't pay well, so I had to pick up another job. It was $9 an hour at a smoothie shop, and I studied nutrition in college as well. So I was actually learning all this knowledge, and I remember just getting up at 7 a.m. having to open and just like getting the mop bucket ready and just upset. I'm like, I have my degree. Why? And I'm like, no, Angel, you're the one who chose to stay here and make something out of yourself. And I've learned business and how to make or produce a nutrition shop through working there. And then fast forward now to my current job, I was not only hired to be a coach, I was hired to be the nutritional manager and basically build that from the ground up. I had to make all the recipes for the smoothies and know how to put the pricing on everything. So I use that as an example is you're going to realize maybe it's a year, 5 years, 10 years down the road of why you are where you are right now.
I would say, don't be afraid of conflict, because a lot of times we avoid conflict because it's uncomfortable, but there is healthy conflict that's going to grow us in areas that we need strength in, So if I would have said, like, my earlier self, like, bro, don't be so passive. Like, stand up for what you feel God is calling you to do. If it's like something that's just going to be like a negative thing, then all right, you don't need to be like, giving that attention. But if you feel like it's going to benefit as far as spiritual and also networking, stuff like that, you got to do it, So I feel like if I don't do that, then I'm only hurting myself and hurting the people that, I'm trying to help, you know what I mean? So don't be afraid of conflict.
I would say we live in a world that just pretty much ever since I was a kid has always taught us that the sum total of who you are is what you do. And so I would tell that person that instead of, trying to be somebody one day, instead of trying to make something out of yourself one day, you already are somebody. You're already doing something. What you're doing right now is purposeful. It's just as much a part of the journey as what you're going to be doing 10, 15 years from now. And so, especially in this business, so many people get their identity from their craft. And you've got to be able to have an identity that is apart from what you do, so that when those testing times come and when those seasons come where, I give you a classic example. I had I wouldn't call it an identity crisis, but I had a moment where I had to look in the mirror in 2018, and I was just dealing with some stuff. But I'm just so grateful that I knew who I was, and I was able to continue on with what I was doing. But I still had such a strong sense of self, because so many people, they rise and fall. Their personhood does, based upon what's going on with their craft, and it can't be that way.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in with this, that there are a lot of individuals that began with nothing, ended up being household names. People like some guy named Walt Disney, Jim Henson, Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, Albert Einstein. They started out with nothing but ideas, and all they did was kept pushing and trusting in a higher power to keep them going. And especially for us professed Christians, when we go out and do our work, we want to do excellent work. And we want to do good work. We don't want to produce something that is shoddy or terrible or don't look particularly pleasing. Like, oh, that's a Christian who made that. It's going to be lackluster. No, when we make stuff, we're going to make it the best. And we're going to make it look good because when we do good works and good deeds, we showcase the good works that our Father does to other people. So when we put lackluster things out there, it's showing that we don't really care about how things are. But as Christians, we're supposed to be excellent in everything we do. And when we go out and we make a movie, we I shoot pictures a lot, so I make the best pictures I can. MLK said, "Wherever you are, be the best at where you are at right then. If you're a twig on the side of a mountain, be the best twig on the side of the mountain you can be." So as Christians, we are implored to be excellent, to showcase our works, to showcase that we have a powerful God that can do many great things with us. So when we use our hands, our mouths, our images, whatever it is we use, we glorify God with all of our body, all the things we got, all of ourselves. And when we go out and do our work, we want people to appreciate God and see that, oh, that person serves God because they're excellent.
Wow, that's good. Matthew, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say that for one thing for me, I spent my 20s trying to please people who never wanted me or to be in their circle. I tried to be in the circle of people that didn't really want me there. And that's a very typical thing. We want to be liked and loved, and we want to love and like people. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that people will let you know if they want you around them. You know, people will let you know if they want you around them. And it's just, you know, if it's hard to get a hold of somebody and it's hard to get someone to listen to you, if it takes a lot of effort for them to pay attention to you, that's the most attentive they're ever going to be in the relationship, is at the very beginning. If it's hard to get a hold of you now, this is the most accessible you're going to make yourself to me. And I spent most of my 20s trying to get people to like, hey, man, you know, I want you to be in my circle. And they didn't want it. And that's just they didn't want to be. And so you just got to trust that God will bring the people that need to be there for you. Doesn't mean those people are bad. It just means that you just both aren't, you're just not, your missions aren't the same, and it's just not going to be a good fit. God will bring the people that need to be in your circle to fulfill your mission, because you don't have to be around everybody, just the right people. And we want everyone to be the right person, and not everyone's going to be the right person. So you just got to know when, like, okay, it's just not going to work here. That's cool. Bless them on their journey, and you'll be blessed on your journey when it's the right people for you.
Wow, the right people for you. That's very powerful. Very powerful. Yeah, go ahead.
In this journey, when you say, what did somebody say? And I take so to heart what David said. I've had to encourage myself in the Lord. I know Granny and I know Mom, they are our best, and they're our biggest audience and that loves us and that'll push us. But once you get outside that home, away from Mom and those people that are so dear that's going to cheer you on anyway, your best person is something like what David said. You got to learn how to look and listen to what the Holy Spirit has told you and encourage yourself in the Lord. Because I never will forget, Toya and them, if y'all remember, when we did one of the biggest plays here at Grace Temple. If I tell you they came up against me, so many people, oh, we can't do that. That play called for over 100 actors. And that play called for over 100 actors, and we did it, and they couldn't believe it. We did it in a short time. We had rehearsal in a short time. But when the Holy Spirit told me to do it, and I woke up, and I said, we're going to do it, and I began to call actors, they couldn't believe it. I had so many naysayers, even those that was behind the scenes, discouraging. And so when God tell you something, you can't wait on others to be a part of it, because where the ones that's the naysayers that say you cannot do that play, you cannot do whatever God has mandated you, God will send people, whether they're in your circle or whether they're outside your circle, because sometimes you need some on the outside to let those on the inside know that you are not all that God has around you. He has somebody else for you that is not a part of your circle, and then those that should have been in your circle, they will be jealous. Do you hear me? Your naysayers, oh yes, shut the mouth of the lion, please. Thank you. So that's, and I love that. That's what I love best, is that challenge when God tells me something. If I hear it from him, I cannot have the money to do it or whatever. But if he tell me and he showed me in a vision, whatever, it's done. The costumes, the everything. Because when you go one place, the networking is so awesome where God will slide people like, I'm done. I can't say no more. If God says it, I believe it, and that sells it.
That settles it. Wow.
Let's go.
That's absolutely true. I think another part of it, just me adding my own two pieces to that, sometimes serving God can be lonely sometimes, where you have an idea and you're just being obedient to what God's calling you to do. And the people around you may not always jump on with you, and you find yourself, oh my gosh, this is what I'm really supposed to do, but you're following God. And sometimes it takes time to build that community. Sometimes God moves those people that will support you later on in life. They come in at different times. But when that initial step you take, sometimes it's very lonely. I want us to look at this, take another look at this. Let's not pretend that there's people going to Hollywood and not having issues like falling into pitfalls or into entrapments. So from you guys, being on the inside, in your perspective skill, what are some advice you would see as far as like how to avoid like losing your connection with God, your walk with God, as you're going to movie sets where there's different things happening, as you're taking photography and your different models, different other photographers have different ideas than what you have. As you're trying to hold your relationship and your walk and keep it clean and keep it straight and narrow, how do you keep that as a Christian? All right.
I'd say all of us, if we pay attention to ourselves and pay attention to our walk with God, everybody knows you know your danger zones. And the more, the enemy studies us. God knows everything that there is to know about us, but too many times we don't know enough about us. And so when we spend time, really getting to know, okay, these are the areas of my life where, I'm weak, or these are the things in my life that maybe God brought me from something. And I know what my danger zones are. And so if I see that there is a role that involves, X, Y, Z, or what have you, I know that I'm going to have to respectfully decline, because I know that's going to be a danger zone for me, and I'm not trying to open doors in my life. Some people will explain it away, oh, it's just acting. But it's actually deeper than that, because a lot of relationships and other things get started with that same lie. Oh, it was just acting. But it looks different for everybody. But everybody knows what their danger zones are, and I know mine.
I'll speak to that. Just creating boundaries, healthy boundaries for yourself. Like you said, just knowing yourself. Because God gives us gifts, and he gives us freedom, but there's a boundary around that freedom. And so for me, just recently, there was somebody that I was going to collaborate with as far as like video projects and stuff like that from this radio station. And I sent them like all the video footage that I did on this event, and we were wanting to collaborate on different stuff. But I ain't really hear anything back. And so I just kept on asking, like, hey, you good? Like, what's up? And so later on, they had posted, like, this flyer of their next event. And it's, like, this crazy event that's happening, like, with lingerie and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, God, thank you for not opening that door, because I mean, there's people that could operate in that, but when we talk about boundaries, that's one of the boundaries that I have. Is like I don't want to be in that environment. You know what I'm saying? And so just creating boundaries, healthy boundaries to keep you safe and keep you focused. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, mine goes along with what both of those gentlemen said. Just a lot of prayer, a lot of checking in with the Holy Spirit, because as they mentioned, we're each on our own walk. It looks different, and we'll get checked on different things. But be prayerful about it, and even be prayerful of those specific situations, because you may kind of cross, I don't know how to explain it. You may do something for one project that you wouldn't do for another, because you've gotten clarity and confirmation and an okay from God on that, but you didn't in this area, you know? And so being strong in that and also trusting God in it, because sometimes, there's a lot of temptation in this industry. And when I tell you that one time I had I got an offer for a feature film, and when they sent the contract over, it was going to be the biggest payout life-changing, biggest payout I would have ever seen in my life. And it was difficult to turn down, especially when I'm like getting eviction notices and I'm struggling with this bill, struggling with that bill. But in 2 parts of the script, they wanted to do full nudity. And I asked the director and producers if that was something that they could cut out. You know, if we could cut those out, then yes, I'll do it. And the response was no, because, there's always someone else out there who will. There is. I had to decline something that would change my life in a major way financially. But I knew that morally I didn't have peace about it, and it wasn't something that I wanted to do. And then 2, having a close accountability group that you can check in with. Because yes, we all want to go to God and we want to hear from him directly, but also having accountability partners who are Christian that know you and know your intentions and know the path and the story that you're on, that can also pray along with you and help you get clarity and speak. God will use those messengers and speak through them to help you gain that clarity as well. So having accountability partners.
I think that's true as well, and I think it's good to know. And I would even add to that, because particularly when you do this, you're going to have a whole plethora of people that think that they're your accountability person. And I don't live in the comment. They're always in the comments, they're always like, no profile picture, 2,000, 1 subscriber, okay, who are you? Some troll somewhere. There's always going to be people who are gonna have an opinion for you, and that's why you got to know your people. Talk about know your tribe. Have those people that have permission to speak into your life, because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to speak towards you, and there's just going to be some people that you just have respect for, like, oh, thank you for your opinion, but okay, there's just, so give that to people who have your best interests at heart, because when you're in the public spotlight, I've learned this. Someone that's in my corner, I reached out to them. I said, hey, so people are saying this about, a video I did, or, a short film I did. And he just said, basically, when you're in the public spotlight, you're going to have people talking. But just because they're talking to you doesn't mean you have to listen to their words. So have the right people speaking into your life. Because if you have too many speaking into your life, you're going to be so confused. You aren't going to be able to move, because everything you do is going to be wrong to somebody. Even if God said it's right, someone's going to say it's wrong. So that's why you got to be careful you listen to and have the right people in there, and then trust God for that, because the right people will come along and do that. And then another thing, particularly here, just know what party not to go to or when to leave the party. And that's very significant, because, you have wrap parties, which is like, after we wrap the movie, or we have a party afterwards. It's like the end of the year party at school or whatever, or the just know when to leave, or know when just not to go. There's just some people, they invite you to a party, you're like, oh, thank you, I'm busy. Oh, it's 5 months from now. I promise you, I will be busy, and you just respectfully just decline, and you don't, because people will respect you. I don't drink. That's just something I don't do. I'm around a lot of people who do on set and all that. I have no judgment towards them. I tell them, like, my reasons is, I just don't want to get started because, I just don't feel like that's something that I feel like for me personally, I come from a family who has a problem with alcoholism. I just personally don't want to get started because that's my boundary. I have a feeling I probably wouldn't be able to stop. And I tell them that, and they actually applaud me for having the strength to do that. I don't go in there with a condemning perspective on them. I just have a strength that I have, and they respect it more than people would think that they would respect it. And so when you do that, when you just have a reason for why you do what you do, and stay to that reason, and more times than not, people will respect you, and people will tell you, like, probably will tell her, like, well, if you turn down that role, you're gonna have a lot of roles you're gonna have to turn down. There's always gonna be work for you. Okay, so don't ever let anyone tell you, well, you'll never work again. No, I won't work with you, maybe. But there'll be work. There'll be work.
The Lord will provide.
Yeah, to tie in everything from what my peers said, all great things that they dropped. But yeah, for me, it's setting the boundary, knowing what you want before those auditions or those invites come. One was nudity. I declined it. I have no problem declining something that does not fall in line with my purpose or what I'm trying to do, because at the end of the day, everything I do should glorify God. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. But that's what grace is for. And then to go off of that, I really like how she said, the financial part, because that's how the enemy reels us in. When we are at rock bottom, our most vulnerable, lonely state, he knows exactly what to do to tempt you. But I listened to this sermon that really resonated with me, and it's chase purpose over money. So there's a difference between worldly success and kingdom success, right? So just because you're successful doesn't mean that it's God's purpose for you. And I really want to go off of her saying, confirming that through prayer. Okay, God, I want this part, or I want to go to this event, but what do you think? Send me confirmation. And he will. He'll do it right away. If it's a big no, and if it's silent, it's possibly, it's keep doing what you're doing. But that's what I've learned recently joining this industry is just know who you are. And like Matthew was saying, you have to realize that there are going to be people that don't even know you, the one subscriber, that's going to drop that comment. And at the end of the day, you know who you are in Christ. That person, whether it's a compliment or insult, thank you. Because at the end of the day, I know who I am as a child of God. And your comment is just an opinion at the end of the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Vanessa?
Well, you pretty much said a lot of what I was going to say, is knowing your boundaries. And even for those who write, sometimes you really still have to check yourself. Because I've written plays, and I wanted to add some stuff in there that the Holy Spirit have to tell you, no, don't do that, don't do this. It may not be to the extreme, but even in writing, especially for church and stuff, because what I like to do when I write or do a play, I like to get it so close to the edge of what real life is, because some of it is so shone that some of the people don't see the realness in whatever. And it's to the edge, but not to those extremes. It's to the edge, but not to the extreme. And so I remember even when writing the plays, I have to go back and critique it and do this here because it's because the flesh wants to write what is so real. And if I can, not putting Tyler Perry down, he was an awesome writer. He started out doing the plays, and you see no flaws. But now you see everything in his plays or in his scripts and stuff. When he was doing them in Dallas, he's awesome in what he do. Not throwing him under the bus or whatever, but he's awesome. But I think as the more famous he got, the more he just let his mind go. And so in where we are, if you, I can't say he's not saved. I'm trying to keep everything so straight and right there. But however, it's so easy to let your mind go way out there when you're writing and when people are pulling you, like you're saying, when people are pulling you, have to know your boundaries. And I'll stop it right there.
Real quick, I wanted to elaborate when I was talking about chasing purpose over money. Of course, at the end of the day, we have bills to pay. Money makes our lives easier. However, when you are focused on God's will for your life, He's going to provide those people. He's going to provide those opportunities and bless you abundantly than whatever else is out there in the worldly perspective. And sometimes, a lot of the time, we think, oh, the enemy's tempting us, but sometimes it could be God testing you, like really testing you in those dark moments. Do you truly want this? Are you going to stay the same person in your Christianity even when you are at rock bottom? And I think those moments like truly define you, especially as a Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes doors close, sometimes doors open. God has control of both of them. Rich, you gonna say something?
Yeah.
Matthew, we
Okay,
have two more
so-
questions, then we'll close out.
Because I know me and Matthew are very short-winded, but
That's not true.
but in reality, though, in all seriousness, when it comes to keeping my Christian perspective, I have to follow the instruction of one of the best actors I know, my mom right here, who's a great theater actress. Yes, she'll never admit to it, but she's been on stage with Vanessa's plays and just knocked it out. But she always tell me to be observant of my surroundings. And, whenever you get into any new environment, you have to be observant. And you also listen to what Oprah said, and not Oprah, but it was Maya Angelou said, let people tell you who they are. And oftentimes that happens. People don't realize that they portray their own inner character when they just start talking to you, or they won't show up one time, or they won't call you back, whatever. It's like, okay, I know not to mess with that person. Or you hear a bad report of a person from other people. You didn't even know that they knew that person, and they start talking about, oh, this photographer did this, said this, said that. I'm like, oh, snap, I'm not working with him no more. So those things, looking around you, checking on who's in your circle, because you could have a circle. It could be small, but remember, Judas was in a circle too. Remember different people who've been betrayed by other people, famous people, had bad people in their circles too. Remember, Michael Jackson was given propofol by his personal doctor, who was super in his circle, but still, he gave him a lethal dose of propofol. So, yes, you can have a small circle, but stay observant. Look at the people around you and your surroundings. Are people trustworthy? Check their reputation. Check to see how it's reflecting your reputation. And if you notice something in your spirit to say, oh, I don't know about this person here, and you verify it, like the Russian proverb says, trust yet verify. When you can verify this person is not benefiting my Christian character, or what the work I'm doing is being maliciously affected by this person's presence, you know that, oh, I wasn't observant. I didn't pay attention to this person's negative behavior because it's reflecting off of me to other people. So, just be observant. That's what I learned.
All right, go ahead, Matthew.
And I would say to that, particularly a lot of people have, like, as Christians, we want to show grace and mercy to people and show God's love to people, and that's true and that's good, but sometimes you got to use wisdom, and sometimes, if you got multiple Judases in your circle, you can pray for them from a distance. Way over there,
More than one Judas, that's terrifying.
I know, isn't it? And there's some people who have more than one Judas, but you have to...
90 pieces of silver.
I know. But what you have to do is you have to understand, at the end of the day, when we deal with people, particularly if we're trying to, like, help people out and, show Christ's love to them, we're also not the Holy Spirit, so we can't fix people. So if some people are just being Judas... I love you from a distance. It's okay. It's not wrong to love people from a distance. Like I would say, you need to, because you can't have Judases in your circle and expect peace. But one thing I pray when I come across, the breakdowns of roles and whatever, if I see certain things, I just stop reading, and I don't even get to the money part, so I don't even see it, because it'll tell you what you'll make. on these, when, the agencies send you, like looking to, cast this thing. These are the role breakdowns. I look for what I can fit. I look for them. And if I start seeing things that I just don't like, before we even get to the money, I just say, oh, that's it. Delete it. I don't even worry about what the money would be because it wouldn't matter. And I just pray for the right role at the right time with the right people. Because if it's one of those three is missing, then it's not going to benefit me. And then if it doesn't benefit me, then it's probably not going to benefit them because it's going to be some form of mutual thing. So I don't really sweat it. Like if I don't get it, like, well, it wasn't one of those, it wasn't the right role, right time, right people. That doesn't mean that those are the wrong people. It's just for some reason at that moment, it just didn't work out. So I pray that when I think of things and I audition, because you audition and you don't get it, you have callbacks, which is like round 2 and you don't get it. You submit things, you don't get it. That's okay. I don't take it personally. There's a lot of people in this business that take it personally. You can't do that. That's why you got to know who you are. And you just got to say, I just say right role, right time, right people, because that'll always, because God wants you on set. God wants you on the job because that's your mission field. That's you being on mission. That's you being on track if that's your purpose. So he's going to get you there. It's just when is it going to be the right moment? And you don't know what would be wrong, or you just don't know what variable would be wrong because it looks like, oh, that would have been, I've had some things where I'm like, oh, that would have been perfect. But I don't know what would have happened, but God does.
Wow, that's true. So we got one more question. And basically I want everyone to kind of say, like, what are some of your plans going forward, or some projects you're working on, and what are some things that God's kind of speaking to your life that you can tell us, that you want to share with us?
Well, I'll start because I'm at the end of the panel. But anyway, next year I'm doing a special photo shoot that I have every year. I call it the Black Heroes Matter photo shoot, and I get African-American cosplayers, and we go down to a park and we just shoot with a bunch of photographers, and it's been growing in size, and we get dozens of models, dozens of photographers, and we just shoot. It's like a big family party. It's something that I plan every year in January, so that when Black History Month rolls on, we have these photos of all these different characters of African-American cosplayers, and it's really exciting, but that's my big project coming up next year.
I just feel like God is really just poking me right now to bring this spoken poetry to life. I have written 2 or 3 that I only have one friend that she couldn't make it tonight, but she plays the piano and she's incredible at it, can just naturally start going and comes out of note. Basically how I can just naturally write, that's how she is in piano. And so when I started writing, I was like, I want background music, but I was like, I want something original. I don't want to have to use other instrumentals. And she's like, I can do it for you. So one day we got together. I was just saying my poetry, and usually how music works, correct me if I'm wrong, is like you get the beat, the track first, and then you write the lyrics. But we just went all in, and it was the Holy Spirit for sure, because I'm saying the words at a certain tone, and she's hitting those notes specifically how I want it to be heard. And it's not complete yet, but it was the first time, and we're on to something. And I was like, I want to maybe do a YouTube page. And I have so many friends in this industry that are videographers. We do content. I was like, I can see it in my vision of how I want this to just be impactful for other people.
Cool. Anyone else on this side? Go ahead.
Can I do like an acapella real quick?
This is your opportunity.
I gotta keep going. I can't afford to lose. Don't like fumbling. To me, that feel like interludes. They keep telling me they feel I got something to prove. I just laugh and tell them, nah, I got something to do. What happens when you don't conquer fear, but it conquers you? Like when the fruit dying. I messed up. Sorry.
No, we got you.
But
You're doing good.
I appreciate it. I always have things going on in the weekends. Always activities and events. I would just say I have business cards, and it has what do you call it? QR code.
QR code,
So stream my music. Listen to it. It's positive, encouraging, and definitely something that we all need. So I would appreciate it. I'll give y'all all cards and stuff like that. But I'm always doing stuff, videographing, and encouraging people all across.
Good, good.
So yeah.
Great. Great.
Did you want to say
Deal.
something?
Yeah.
Project.
Oh,
Deal.
go ahead, yeah.
So real quick, Freddie's music is actually on a film that I have that should be released, video on demand, in about 3 months, called Dry Places. So got that, several acting projects, prepping for my first theatrical release in a film. So that's coming up in September. And then I've got several other projects that I'm writing and in pre-production on right now. So I'm just excited about what God is doing in this season.
Okay, so most of what I got coming up is with Theo, because we got some movies that we're working on that are going to be really, really good.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I finally get to be a pastor after I got all these years after seminary. I finally get to be a pastor, and he's not going to be a good pastor. But anyway, so I got several things. I got several things with him. Probably at least three movies I'm going to be doing with him here soon. And then I got a sitcom that I'm in. We're still filming it right now called Uncle T, but it's already streaming. The first episode is up. It's on Roku, fmdglobal.tv. You can watch the first episode. The second episode is being edited right now, and there's going to be an 8-episode season, so we're filming we got the first 3 filmed and edited, and we're going to film the rest here, so you can watch that. I'm writing my own sitcom called Egbert, and we're going to put that pilot episode up here soon, and then a lot of other movies. I got a movie coming out in September that we're both in, called Stay, and that's about suicide prevention. That's going to be a big release in September here, and that's going to probably be a theatrical release as well in the U.S. It's definitely a theatrical release in Nigeria. It's got a theater release there, but it probably releases here in theaters. And then there's a lot of other things. Follow me on. So it's easy to just follow me on social media because I post it all on there. Because God's blessed me to have the ability where this conversation would take 30 minutes of what I'm working on, which is a good thing. So, but yeah, so it's easy to follow me there on that.
Coming up for me, like I have a few scripts that I do want to write, just short story wise. That was my first love. That's my passion. I do enjoy writing and doing a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. When it comes to filming, I have a couple commercial shoots coming up, so excited about that. There are a couple of shows that are shot here in Texas that I have on my goal list to book those by the end of the year. So. Exactly. He knows a couple of them. So just staying prayerful and trusting in that and taking every day, just one day at a time with it.
Well, I have a couple of shows I'm getting ready to be in, films with Denzel Washington. Okay, I'm joking. Okay, come back, Vanessa. I was dreaming. Okay.
You just spoke into existence.
Oh, yes. Denzel called me for the script, and I'll be going out to Hollywood for that. But we'll really shoot that in Atlanta. We was talking about shooting that in Atlanta, okay? But anyway, that was good, wasn't it? That was good. You're looking at me serious. I did good. Okay. Hello. But no, I am. We talked about pulling something from Job. I haven't quite started writing it, but for as the young adults, they was looking for something to do, and we talked about that up front. And so that would probably be my next project outside of doing maybe something for Christmas or Black History, was getting together with the young adult, putting something really good together. Thank you.
Gotcha.
She good. She's good. Yes. She said that Denzel will be in. Yes.
I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, can I go one more time?
One more time before you
I can't leave without saying something.
1 second. So Vanessa, I want to point out, Vanessa is doing so much as far as the drama department here in our church. She really got me into acting. I always thought about doing it, but she gave me an opportunity. And one thing I've seen her do is just she makes opportunity for our youth to express this talent. And I just want to thank her for that if we get ever a chance to. Ever get a round of applause for Vanessa?
Hey, Vanessa, yes.
Giving opportunity.
Matthew, you had opportunity to be in was you in one of the plays, or we tried to get you in one of the plays? What happened? You tried to get me in one, but I'll be in the next one. Okay, yes. Thank you.
All right, Freddie, you have one more thing to say?
Appreciate it. Yeah, I feel like first impressions are really important, so I don't want to leave y'all with that scratch that I just did.
Did make a great first impression all the time you were talking prior to that. So I just
appreciate it.
another
I
moment.
appreciate
But
it.
carry
I
on.
appreciate it. Let's go. Navigated, driven, acclimated. So glow, feel illuminated. Been told when I reach goals, celebrate it like a graduation. Perseverance essential. Take care of your mental. Mind, body, soul, that's temple. God wrote the plan, no pencil. I can't erase what he got. Hurting myself if I stop. Time is short, look at the clock. Hours are coming in hot. Pressure increases. I know I need this. I can depend on the rock. Hey, flowing in purpose. Stop the motions. Don't hesitate at the top. Let's go.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, never give up. Okay.
Tim, I want to say one thing real quick. I want
Okay.
to say that first of all, Freddie, that was dope. But Tim, I wanted to point out into the whole panel, one great quote that Oprah Winfrey did say that I remember to this day was, she said, for all the people coming into any industry, know who you are before you arrive. Because once you get there, you meet a lot of people who don't know who they are. So as Christians in whatever industry, photography, acting, writing, directing, whatever it may be, we have to know who we are prior, because we're not going to find it if we're looking in the world to find out who we are. We need to know who we are prior to that. So know who you are.
Absolutely.
And this is related to what Matthew said earlier.
Yes, absolutely.
And Maya Angelou says, when they show you who they are, believe them.
Yes.
And I would just say, know who you are, because there's always going to be someone who's going to tell you who they think you should be.
Oh, yeah.
So, well, I think you should do this. I think you should do that. But if you know who you are, you'll be like, no, because people will test you. But if they know who you are, they'll be like, we ain't gonna get to do that because that's not who they are. Because really, at the end of the day, they want to know. Like my acting coach tells me, is like the reason that someone hires a Denzel Washington type is because they want Denzel Washington. But he's just being Denzel Washington, or name another actor. So he's like, be a Matthew Simmons type, like be you, like have someone out there say, man, I want someone that's like I want a Matthew Simmons type, because they'll say that, particularly if it's like I just saw a breakdown where they were looking for someone that looked like a celebrity. We want someone like this. What they're saying is that person is them so well. We want someone that resembles them. So just be you so well that people want someone that resembles you. That's why you need to be the best. Judy Garland said, be the best version of yourself, not a second-rate version of somebody else. Because someone's going to always try and get you to do something, but you just stay in your lane, because when you win in your lane, people are going to like it.
Yeah, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. All right, we're gonna get ready to close. But I want everyone to stand up and just give me your social media to everybody, and we'll close it from there. All right, Reggie, you start.
Okay, I'm Reggie Sharper. You can find me on pretty much any social media that exists, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that. So just look up my name, Reggie Sharper, you'll find me.
So I have I'm so sorry.
Theo Bray, you can find me on Facebook at Theo B. Ray, and on Instagram, actor Theo Bray.
My IG is Freddie Davis III. That's FreddyDavisii. You don't have to remember that. I'm going to give you a card. You can just scan it, and it'll be perfect. All right?
That's okay. I have Instagram and Facebook. Mostly just use my Instagram. I have my formal name on all of it. It's actually Angelique. And it's Angel, and then IQUE, and then my last name's really short. It's just it's ULM.
Yeah, so I'm on MySpace, so, No. So it's Matthew Simmons. You can find me on all social media as Stylish Leadership or Matthew Simmons. That's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. Yeah, that's it.
And again, my name's Ashley Nesbitt. You can find me on Instagram at _Ashley Nesbitt. That's _ASHLEY. N as in Nancy, ESB as in boy, I 2 T's.
Oh, wow. Very fancy. My name is Vanessa Chapman. You can find me on Facebook, Vanessa Chapman, Instagram, Vanessa Chapman, anything else, Vanessa Chapman.
Good. But yeah, we Grace Temple Now. We do have a Facebook page. It's Grace Temple Now. We have an Instagram. It's Grace Temple Now. But we want to thank everyone for coming out. I want to give a special thanks to my team, my brother John and Sierra, and my brother Reg, and everyone else on my team. I want to give special thanks to the AV team, which is also my brother and Shannon and Chris and Rachel, and my mom she's also doing AV as well. She's recording. One special thanks to Rhonda, and one special thanks to the pastor of this house, Pastor Cedric Belcher. Yes, without him, wouldn't have the opportunity to do this. A lot of people wouldn't even allow it, but he gave me the opportunity to serve as the young adult leader, and I'm getting this opportunity to serve. So I just want to thank him for that. And anything else I forgot to mention, and Dad, he's going to say something, yeah. We're helping with the mics and all that. And if you guys have any more questions we might have missed, just ping it to me through Facebook, and I will give them to the panelists, and we'll go from there. I just wanted to, is there any of the youth who would like to close it out with prayer? I'm going to put you on spot. Go ahead, Vanessa. Oh, sure.
It's okay.
That's good. Great idea, Vanessa.
I think last time Pastor was not here, he had the opportunity to be here tonight, so they would get to meet Pastor Belcher. Y'all put your hands together for Pastor Belcher, the angel of this house.
I want to thank Tim and your team for an incredible evening with the panelists. Let's give it up for all of them. Many times when you enter this kind of space, you don't know who's going to be in the audience. You don't know how many people are going to show up. But I observe each and every one of you. That was not a concern to you. You wanted to pour into whoever was here, and you did exactly that. And God is going to bless your ministry. God's going to bless you as you move forward. You are vulnerable, and I just want to bless you and thank you all so much for taking time off your schedule to come and bless us. May God bless you all.
Thank you, Pastor Belcher.
And we're going to come back, right?
Yes, we're coming back. It's not our only one. We're going to have another panel for creatives. Hey, is London still here? London, are you still? Can you pray us out? Just the way you pray, it's just so powerful. Let's go, London. London. Oh, are you coming? Okay, good. Yes, Reg. All right. Yes. But really, Reg behind the scenes. He does a whole lot of stuff. There's plenty of times where I've missed things. I don't have a Reggie all up in there to kind of figure out stuff and throw things in there and remind me of different things. Special thanks to Reg. So we'll give him a hand clap as well. Yes, absolutely. But yeah, I want to thank all the panelists especially. Oh yes, we're having young adult brunch next Sunday at a brunch location called Dwell. It's off of University. And we're going to just have the young adults. We're going to eat and have a good time. If you want to celebrate with the young adults, come as well. We're going to do this it's not a Bible study. I keep pointing out to everybody, it's not a Bible study. We're coming to fellowship and just love on each other and just have community. I want to thank each and one of you panelists for showing up. Each gave a perspective and a story that we could not replicate without you. So y'all keep it up, and we keep you guys in prayer. Keep us in prayer as well. I believe you guys are doing some great things. I'm just glad we had the opportunity to catch you in this moment. But Dad wants to say something.
Yeah, I just want to give a round of applause to the whole panel. Yeah, it's so refreshing that you look on TV and you see all this garbage. You don't even want to look at TV. But when you come and see somebody from the industry, a panel of people who's talking about integrity and drawing a line, not crossing that line, that's they who we represent. This is who we represent to our kids as well as to our church and to the community. So we really need to be thanking God for people with integrity. Somebody said you don't have to compromise to be recognized, and you guys stand it just that way. I appreciate you.
All right, London, can you close us out?
Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for letting us make it here today and enjoying this service that they have blessed us with. We thank you for letting all of us make it out here safely, and we hope that we can make it home with a safe travel. And let everyone leave this place safely. In the name of Jesus, I pray, amen.
All right, well, you all have a great night. You are dismissed.